Can you hear me? Oh, you're muted.
Oh, cool background.
Yeah, thanks, man. Let's see. There we go. That's a little better.
Is that a virtual background or is that how it really is over there?
No, this is how it really is. Yeah, I set all this up because I do a lot of live streams and stuff in here, so it's my little studio.
Wow, that's really cool, man.
Yeah, thanks.
Looks fun. So you got a front-facing light on you and you got a nice dark backdrop, huh?
Yeah, so I've got a light here, and then I've got two up lights back there, and then I got a blue stand right here that's got some blue LED bulbs in it.
Wow, beautiful. I'm just going to do one quick confirmation that we're streaming, which I think we are. Yeah, we are streaming. Perfect. Well, thanks for joining me, Scott. I really appreciate you making the time, and this is our first time connecting. So, what a cool way to get connected and related.
I know it, man. Yeah, I am very grateful that that you invited me. This is something I'm super passionate about, obviously. So, thank you.
Yeah, man. I mean, it seems like your whole life is integrated into your family. I mean, your YouTube channel, you're sharing about your family, your Facebook, and you got four beautiful kids, right?
Yes. Yep.
That's
Four.
that's amazing, man. And so you're basically a super dad. Like you're up to the plate every day. And how is that?
It's fun. You know, every child has had their unique personalities, and so with each personality comes these amazing benefits, and then sometimes there's personality clashes that we try to work through. But every kid strengthens me in a different way, and so it's completely shaped my life into what it is, and I love it. It's awesome.
Wow. So you have like a unique relationship with each one of your kids, and they give you. Do you want to actually share what each one has taught you, in a nutshell, like as far as values and virtues and character?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll give you, the names of my kids and their ages, so that way we've got a reference point. So my oldest is Micaiah. She's 14, just turned 14 yesterday. My second oldest is Brayler. She's 12. She turned 12 in May. Tace is my third. He's my one son, and he'll be 6 in August. And Cayman is our 3-year-old, and she's her birthday was in January, so she's 3.5 right now. And it's funny, we had a set of kids in the beginning, 2006, 2008, and they were one personality type. And then we had a hard time getting pregnant. After that, it took us 6 years to have our next baby, which was my son. And when my son and youngest daughter were born, their personalities were completely different than my older two girls. My older two girls are very, very quiet and calm and obedient, very like we didn't have to discipline them really at all. And my youngest two kids are just crazy and wild and tearing stuff up and climbing all over everything. And so we have a little bit heavier handed style of parenting with them because they need it. But what I've realized is that with my older kids, that their parenting style is one way, and my younger kids' parenting style is different. And so I constantly am learning how to motivate my older kids to be more confident and loud and boisterous, and I'm having to do that on the opposite side of things with my younger kids, and teach them how to be more respectful and how to be more kind. And so it's taught me a lot of patience. It's also taught me a lot of how to deal with different personalities, and really it's taught me a lot about people in general. Like, there are people who are introverted who need to be spoken to a different way, or need to be directed and motivated in a completely different style than extroverts who are just naturally gifted and not naturally gifted, natural leaders. And they're loud and go-getters and get me in front of people and do all that stuff. And so totally different styles that I've had to pick up along the way.
Would you say this is just I'm thinking this, but are your younger kids more on a leadership track and your older kids more in a creative, like artistic type of personality, like
you
as
know
far as their gifting?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So all of them, we've taught all of them to be leaders. And even my oldest, where she's definitely more reserved, but we've taught her to have a quiet confidence about what she does, and to really be decisive, and to really um, uh, be confident in the decisions that she makes. And my second daughter, she's a little bit more loud, but she's also very kind, and so we've taught her how to kind of temper her. She has a little more dominant traits, and so temper her dominant traits, and then also be kind and be confident in what she's doing. And so my older two are definitely, all of my kids are creative. I mean, I'm a creative person. My wife has some creative, she's got some creative tendencies as well. And so all of our kids are very creative that way. And so, it's hard to like to put them in little boxes, because where, if you have like the line graph where it's like creativity, introvertedness, extrovertedness, leadership, all of them have different scales of each of those different qualities. And I think our goal as parents is always just to try and lift them where they're weak, and then help them develop more where they exhibit strengths.
That's beautiful. So there's really no one's in a box. They're all really all of it.
Yeah.
What have you done to cultivate creativity and leadership? I mean, what kind of things do you guys bring into your household to help to them to be the best versions of themselves?
Well, there's one thing that I try to do, that I've tried to do since my kids were young, and that is to never squash any idea that they have, or any excitement that they have towards trying something. I let my kids try anything that they want to try. I let them try it, and usually we'll just be like, hey, go to YouTube. If you want to learn how to dance, go to YouTube, learn how to dance. You want to learn an instrument? Let's get you an instrument, and let you play the guitar. Or my second daughter is learning ukulele, and she's incredible at it. But then we also push them a little bit to see things through, so that way it's not, start quit. But it's like, okay, here are the goals that we want you to reach before we let you do, this next thing that you're off to. And so my daughter is like, I want a violin. I'm like, okay, violin, great. Let's learn the guitar and ukulele first, since we've already paid for those things. And then once you have some level of experience and expertise there, then we'll move on to the next thing. But I don't want you to just jump from thing to thing without growing a little bit. So that way you measure your excitement level for those different instruments based off of some experience and a level of success, instead of saying, well, I it hurts my fingers to play the guitar, and so I'm going to quit and do the violin. I'm like, no, 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 you got to get past the fingers hurting, because you'll get there and form some calluses, start strumming, get good at the guitar, and then we'll talk about the violin after that. But I want you to have some level of success.
So you're really anchoring down persistence and follow through with your kids.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. But then at the same time, allowing them to decide, really, like, I want to try this. I want to try that. Okay, awesome. Let's do it.
So you mentioned earlier patience. I mean, what kind of things have your kids been teaching you that's developed you as a father and a person that's showing up elsewhere in life?
It's really interesting. I grew up, when I was a kid, I had ADHD. I was diagnosed with ADHD from a young age in elementary school. And so I'll see some of those hyperactivity tendencies in my kids, and I'll stop and realize and be like, "Oh my gosh, that's exactly what I used to do. This thing that's driving me nuts is exactly what I used to do." And the way that I was, sometimes I was directed from my parents or from teachers or educators or whatever. I realized, oh, that wasn't necessarily what was most beneficial for me at that time. And so I've learned to try to redirect some of that energy and some of those tendencies into different outlets, so that way my kids will still feel love and direction, and not feel like they should be ashamed of the way that they are, like the tendencies that they exhibit. Because I want them, everybody's personalities are unique, right? I'm still ADD, ADHD to this day, but I feel like I can use that, those tendencies in creative outlets that actually end up being kind of like my superpower, right? I'm super creative in entrepreneurship, and I've been able to accomplish some really cool and unique and amazing things. And I don't think that I would have had the persistence and the excitement levels and things like that to get those done if it wasn't for the way that my personality is. So I'm trying to direct my kids in the same way, where it's like, okay, you might be that way. That's okay. Let's just redirect it here so that way you can actually accomplish something with it and then feel good about yourself and not feel like you're just the crazy kid.
Wow.
you know
Now, so you've discovered that something that was like a perceived weakness was actually a strength, and you're standing that your kids that maybe are exhibiting similar things, that they discover that for themselves. So you're basically guiding them on their life journey so they can find what their unique gift is in life.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what my job is as a parent. Like, I want my kids to grow up to be better than me, right? To have more and to do more and to think higher and to accomplish more. And so I never want my kids to feel like dad held me back, or dad was always saying this about me, and so my self-esteem is shot. It's like, no, I want my kids to, whatever their weaknesses are or their strength is to be able to use them to do amazing things in life, and to be as amazing as they were created to be.
I mean, that's beautiful. And I know, you have a very active family, and it's a partnership with you and your wife, right? I mean, you and
Yeah.
Camber work together to instill these values, to nurture them. Um, do you guys have any agreements? Because I think I didn't actually talk to Jeffrey this morning about the marriage being a container for fatherhood and motherhood. Do you guys have agreements that help you guys to succeed as parents?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we've been married for 16 years, and what's cool about raising kids is you don't start with four. Most people don't start with four, right? You only start with four if you're on the TLC channel, or you start with one and you learn how to parent slowly. And the baby, like, you make mistakes when your child is young, and that's okay because they forget about that stuff, right? But when you start with one and you start slowly, then you kind of grow into your parenting skills and habits and routines. And so my wife and I are on the same page virtually with everything. I other than, I'm definitely more of a prepare the kids for nature, and she's more of a nurturer. But we both have our individual strengths that we bring to the table, and as long as we're on the same page with the way that we are guiding and directing our kids, then our kids feel that stability from us. It's when you create kind of the unstable environment where your parents are always at at odds with each other, and the kids are like, well, which way do I go? I don't know. That's when you create kind of the unstableness, instability in children.
So you guys are modeling a healthy relationship inside of that, also creating a container for them to really just be kids and not have to worry about what's going on with mommy and daddy. You guys are a space for them to enjoy their childhood, which I think is a beautiful gift, because not all kids get to have that. Some have to go through very survival type of circumstances.
It's true, and that breaks my heart, to see kids that have to deal with those types of things. But I also believe that we still have the potential, no matter what circumstances we were raised in, to become amazing human beings, and to really, like, let our lights shine, and for the benefit of humanity. And when Camber and I, we don't always agree on everything, right? I mean, that's any healthy relationship. And so we get in arguments and we get in fights sometimes, obviously not physical, but we get in these, like, intense arguments. And I think we always feel like it's okay for our kids to see that, to feel that. Um, because we always come back together, and all healthy communication might mean that we're yelling at each other someday. But we always make sure that on the other side of that, that our kids see us come back together. We make a compromise. Usually that ends up with me apologizing, right? But 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 we always come back together, and it's important that we let our kids see the entire evolution of of that type of communication, so that way they can see what a healthy relationship or healthy communication looks like. It's not just blow up fight. All right, I'm out of here. We're divorced, done. It's it's blow up argument. All right, take some time to cool off. Okay, come back together, talk rationally. Okay, now we're back in love and everything is good again. And our kids have confidence that anytime they see us like that, um, they know that, all right, to give it a half hour, an hour, and everything will be good again. And I feel like that's really important for our kids to see too.
Yeah, so you're working out communication. You're showing them how to communicate, how to work out conflict, because certainly they'll have that later in life. So you're
Absolutely.
modeling for them behavior that is going to go with them the rest of their life.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. Exactly.
Wow, man, that's beautiful. So you have 4 kids. What kind of challenges do you deal with that are unique or aren't unique to having 4 kids, and how has that um, prepared you for the rest of your life?
Um, so I think that kids teach you a ton about patience. A, a ton about so I think probably one of the biggest things that I've learned from my kids is how to keep a rational, calm mind in some of the most intense circumstances. For example, my daughter caught her finger pretty badly a few years ago. And I mean, it was bleeding everywhere, very, very deep. She needed stitches. And um, I came downstairs, I saw what was happening. I assessed the situation, never panicked, had her hold her finger up. We got pressure on it, held it above her head so blood wasn't just squirting everywhere. Had her lay down when she started getting lightheaded, and we took her to the emergency room and got her fixed up. Never once did I panic. Never once did I feel like she was going to die. I kept a rational, calm mind about it all, and we just took care of business. Now, had that been when I was younger, I would have panicked, and I wouldn't have done the right thing because my mind would have been racing. But what's interesting is kids have this way of just wearing you down to the point of raw emotion, especially when they're young and you're not getting any sleep, and you're up at all hours of the night. You're in these like really weird sleep patterns. You just learn how to exist and still think critically and calmly and rationally, even though you are, just wanting to go to bed and sleep all the time. I don't know if that's making any sense. I think what I'm trying to say is like as a parent, you just have a way. Kids have a way of cutting to the true, authentic you, and that you just don't experience if or that it's I guess I haven't experienced it as an when I wasn't a parent. I'd never experienced anything like that before, so I can't say that you don't feel that when for people who choose not to have kids or who don't have kids. But for me personally, it's my kids just cut straight to the core of who I am, and I've learned to love myself and exist in. I don't know. I'm just kind of rambling now, but I think the point is that my kids have taught me everything that I am today.
You're a better person. I'm hearing that you've become a better person, and for better or worse, however your kids show up, it requires you to step forward in a way that you're your most powerful, authentic, um, the best version of yourself. I
Yeah.
think what you're trying to say.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
I have a my favorite question we've been asking all day, which surprised me that this came up this way, but is your father still around?
Yes.
How is your relationship and how your father's been with you, raising you? How has that impacted your relationship with your kids?
So I came from a family that was divorced. I have two sets of parents, and I have a stepdad and my biological father. And I didn't see a lot of my biological father growing up. I maybe once a year, and so our his parenting was mostly done over the phone on Sunday. Brief Sunday night calls. My stepdad was a great father, and not saying my biological dad wasn't a great father. But my stepdad was the man who essentially raised me in my home, and he was great. We didn't have the same personality types at all. He's more analytical minded. I'm definitely more of a creative, and a lot of that's just because of my ADD ADHD, and so when I had kids, my goal with each of them has been to relate to them however their personality is on the level that they need, and provide them what they need for whatever personality level that they have, whatever personality that they have. And so my kids who I'm very extroverted. I love being in front of a crowd. My kids who are more introverted, I give them what they need, and I help to push them and help them be strengthened with what they need. And my kids who have the same personality as I do, I don't love them anymore. I don't love them any less, but I give them what they need as well, and I try to meet them at their level and parent them to what they need, not necessarily what I feel like. What I feel like I want them to have, or want them to or what I want for them, if that
So
makes
your
sense.
it does. So your stepfather really taught you how to, he was a different kind of father than you were, but he gave you love nonetheless. He actually gave you a container to figure out life. And even though you, not all your kids are the same personality type, you're able to be in the same way of whatever it is that they need, you're that person.
Yep. Yep. Exactly.
Oh, that's
Exactly.
beautiful, man. Um, You got any like proud moments, any accomplishments your kids have hit, and you just felt like you just took a step back for a moment? You're like, wow, this is this is amazing. Like,
Y- y- Yeah, I mean, each of my kids on different levels, with different things. Like my oldest daughter, she plays ultimate frisbee. She's becoming incredible at it. I play ultimate frisbee with her. We do, I've been part of a league. We play part of a community team that we meet twice a week now, and she's just developed those skills, and she's super passionate about it. I'm just excited to see that she has accomplished some really cool, unique things in developing those skills. My middle daughter, like I said, she's playing the ukulele. We got her one for her birthday. She picked it up, and within a couple of days, she was just playing full songs and singing
oh,
to them. And I'm like, I don't even know how to strum and sing at the same time. It's it's like an incredible skill. My rhythm is totally out of whack and jacked up, but she can strum and sing and play full songs, and it's incredible. My son, he's he's a climber and a flipper, and he can jump off of things and do flips, and I'm just like, dude, what the heck, this is incredible. And my daughter, she's young, but she runs the house like it's insane. She's 3 years old, and she pushes everybody and does all sorts of things, and I'm like, the leadership qualities that she exhibits at 3 are mind blowing. And so every one of my kids, in different ways, none of them are the same at all. None of them, most of them don't like to do the same stuff as the others, but every single one of them has skills and talents. And I'm just like, that's awesome. Good for you. Let's work on that. Let's grow that, and give you something to take you far in life and be confident about. Have your own individual skill that's like, yes, that's you, that's what you do, you can be confident in that. And yeah, it's incredible, it's amazing.
sounds like your kids are a total and complete adventure, each and every single one of them.
Oh dude, you have no idea, man. It's it's every day it carries something new. It's amazing.
I'm not a father. We created this because I wanted to acknowledge my dad, and then it just evolved like, oh wait, we know a bunch of great guys. Let's put this together. But for people who aren't fathers, for guys who aren't fathers, or they're expecting to be fathers, or they're new fathers, what's like something that they should expect or know about being a father that would be a good bit of for succeeding at it?
Yeah, my piece of advice, well, it's probably a couple things, but one of my biggest pieces of advice is that your kids are never going to fit into your little box. So don't try and put them into a box, and don't try to push them into the sport of your choice, and don't try to push them into into being the personality type that you see as the most cool or most popular, that your friend's kid can do this and so my kid should be able to do that. Don't worry about that stuff. It doesn't matter. Just focus on the things that they enjoy. Let them try new things. Encourage them to try new things, and then get go 100% all in on the things that they love and are passionate about, because it's not going to be all rainbows and butterflies, with your kids, and getting them to just love football or love baseball, or it's like that may happen, it may not. And if it doesn't happen, be okay with it. That's totally fine. And if you realize that from the beginning, then parenting will go a lot easier for you. And it'll be super rewarding, and you'll learn something about yourself. So I think that that's probably the biggest piece of advice that I could give to new fathers. Yeah.
That's really important. I mean, I think I turned out okay, but I did my dad's sport of choice. I was in baseball. I'm like, why am I out here in the outfield? But actually, I enjoyed it. Now I'm proud of it looking back. But at the time, but I guess even inside those mistakes, actually, that might be you don't feel like you've made any mistakes along the journey of being a father? Has any of that helped you? You don't have to share if you don't want to, but has there been anything that you felt like, I wish I did it another way?
That's a really good question. I ask my kids occasionally. I'll be like, "Hey, you guys, rate me. How am I doing? Scale of 1 to 10." And and my kids are so nice. They're sometimes I think they're too nice to me, because I definitely make mistakes. I'll say things that'll embarrass them, um, and I don't want that to be the case. Or I'll be short with them sometimes. I told my daughter yesterday, on her birthday, when went out to lunch, and I'm like, sometimes I feel like my default to everything you guys ask is no before yes. Um, and because most of the time, it's like my little kids like, "Hey, Dad, can I play with your pocket knife?" No. "Hey, Dad, can I have ice cream? In the morning?" No. And so I've gotten this default mode of anytime they ask for something, it's no. And then I'll have to stop and think about it and be like, "Well, yeah, okay, yeah, we can do that." Um, there have been times where, like I said, or I've been short with them, and generally I'll catch myself after a few minutes, and I'll come back to them and be like, "You guys, I'm sorry, I'm having a hard day. I didn't mean to lash out at you." Um, and so I've become more introspective with my kids, and uh, I really try to show them that as an adult, I don't have all the answers, and I don't make all of the right choices, but I own up to them when I make the wrong choices. And I let them see through example that it's okay to make a wrong choice as long as you do your best to right that wrong. And I walk through the process with them sometimes, and let them see I'm sorry. Let them see that I'm saying I'm sorry, that I admit my mistakes. And I think that that's super important as a father and as a husband. Don't
Wow.
There's pride and ego, just there's no place for them in a marriage and in a family. You got to let that stuff go. If you hold on to that, that's when you start making mistakes, and you have big problems. And so you have to admit, like, yeah, maybe it's not okay to go out and do this when my wife needs me at home. Maybe it's not okay to go over to my buddy's house for um, you know some type of a barbecue or whatever, and leave my family at home. It's like I need to make sure that they are my number one priority, and that if there's a problem in my marriage, a lot of the time it's because I'm not introspective, and I'm not thinking with a clear head. I'm thinking with a selfish mind. So got to let that stuff go.
Wow. There's a quote that came to me. I think it was Eisenhower that said, an error doesn't become a mistake until you refuse to correct it. And it sounds like you approach your relationships with your kids and maybe other areas of life with that type of humble spirit where you're willing to to acknowledge and be vulnerable so that you can clean things up and have healthy, good, strong relationships.
Oh man, I try. Yeah, I absolutely try. So, I mean, again, I think that being a creative mind has given me, yeah, I mean, I don't want to like put, I guess I don't want to put my personality on a pedestal or anything like that. I think that it's a gift that I have, that I was born with, or that I've been raised with, to be introspective and to see, what I'm doing wrong and how I can fix it, and ways that I can change the way that I do things to be more beneficial to those around me, to be more impactful to those around me. And so I really feel like that's a gift, but I also feel like, everybody can have that ability if they just kind of release the ego and are willing to admit that humans aren't perfect and we can't be perfect. There is no man on this world today that is perfect. Everybody makes mistakes. And if you're willing to admit that, then there's room for growth.
Wow. Someone wise told me a few months ago, only way you can clean it up is by being responsible. And seems like you're teaching your kids all the right stuff and how you're being, because they're going to pay attention more to your actions than your words. So
I'm trying.
I guess that answers, I mean, I have a quite. I actually been acknowledging the fathers at the end of these interviews, but this is our first conversation, so I only know you a little bit from this conversation. What would
Yeah.
you like to be acknowledged for in being a father?
I don't need any acknowledgement. I think that the thing that I just want to stress is that I mean, I really feel like I've kind of hit all the points that I wanted to. I think that the most important thing is like anybody can be a dad, right? It's really easy to be a dad. That's one act that happens one time that creates a life. But you have to step up to be a father. Yeah, you have to be willing to be selfless to be a father. And so that means letting go of who you once were, and letting go of the things that really, in the grand scheme of things, just aren't that important. Raising a human that's productive in society, that has a sense of moral grounding, and is going to be beneficial. And then also, I believe personally that it's very important for my kids to have a belief in God, and to know that this life is not all that is there, but there are things to look forward to in the next life. That's massively important to us as well. And so I think that if you're willing to let go of that ego and really step up, be a father, and teach your kids, you know, how to be good people, good humans, and then you're ready to go. You
That's
know.
that's the main point. I mean, I didn't know whether to get in it with you, but I definitely appreciate that you're bringing faith into your kid's life. That's one thing my mom did a good job with. Though, I
Good.
mean, I later fell away from it only to come back to it, but it's good that you're laying the foundation for a
Me too,
relationship.
man.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
Absolutely.
It's good because they might fall away from it, but if the foundation is there when challenges arise later in life, like it was for me, I had to turn my life and my heart back towards God to say, you know what, I don't actually know what I'm doing. So that's
That's right. Absolutely, brother. Absolutely.
well, oh, we're right on 30 on the dot. I want to thank you for making this time available. I super appreciate who you are and actually getting to meet the person behind the Facebook videos and stuff. You're a really great guy. And I know you didn't need the acknowledgement, but I'm acknowledging you as that person who's raising four beautiful young souls into the world. And I'm sure each and every one of your kids is going to turn out extraordinarily.
I appreciate that, man. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much. And this has been a great time. I posted on Facebook yesterday. I'm like, I never get to talk about being a parent. I get to talk about YouTube and success with video and social media all the time. I never get to talk about this. And this is why I do everything else that I do. Like, I do this so that way I can raise my kids to be awesome and to think big and stuff. And so I'm grateful to you for doing something like this, where it's like, okay, cool. Now I get to share some of the things that I feel important on the family side of things.
Thanks, man. Sometimes we forget as entrepreneurs why we started in the first place. So into the follow through of what it is we're up to, we forgot, oh, I did it for them anyway. It's,
Yes. Yeah.
it's weird.
Absolutely.
Well, cool, man. Is there anything else you want to share before I let you go?
No, I'm good. I said everything I needed to. I'm not feeling inspired to go any deeper anywhere else. So thanks so much for the opportunity.
Beautiful. Well, thank you for showing up in it. I appreciate you, and I look forward to connecting more soon.
Absolutely. Okay. Thank you. Take care.
Great. Have a great Father's Day.
Yep.
Bye.
Thank you. See ya.